Now, so in the last session, we have discussed about the if condition. In that if condition, we have discussed about the two formats. The simple if condition we have discussed, and we have discussed about the if else condition as well here. Now let's see. So in the previous session, we have discussed about some basic programming elements as well, how to write the small programs, and how can we implement the business logic, how can we compile the code, how to execute the code we have discussed. Now we'll continue with that statements, the conditional statements. We are having two more left, and we'll discuss about these statements, and we'll continue with that the rest of the topics like the iterative statements. Now, so now yesterday we have implemented this program here. So where we have used that if else statement in order to find out the biggest number from the given two numbers. So whatever the two numbers they have given as the input, from those two numbers we need to find out which one is the biggest one. So now for that we have tried with some examples. In one case we have made that first number as the biggest one. In the second case we have made that second number as the biggest one. Suppose for example, if there is a case, if both are same, for example I'm entering 234. First number is also 234. Second number is also 234. So now both the numbers are same. Here also 234, here also 234. Now what will happen in this case? If I'm executing this program, which statement will be getting displayed to you? First number is the biggest one or second number is the biggest one? Let's see. Now, when you click on execute, it will be sending this program for the execution process. Now Salesforce server will execute that code, and then it has generated that log file. When you select the debug only checkbox, it is providing the value here. Second number is the biggest one. Now the second number is the biggest one over here? No, both are same. Both the values are same. Then how can we implement this kind of situations? How can we handle this kind of situations? Now in this case, just we have verified which one is the biggest one. Nothing but whenever you are going to be identifying which one is the biggest one at that time, not only this one condition, sometimes we need to verify, okay, sometimes we need to verify one more condition whether these two values are same or not. Then how can we add one more condition? So for that here, when coming to the if condition, they have provided one more format that is called as else if. If this condition is not satisfied, I want to cross check one more condition. If the second condition is also not satisfied, I want to verify one more condition. If that condition is not satisfied, one more condition. Like that, keep on, we can able to add some multiple conditions as well inside that if condition statement. So for that here, we are going to be using the third format of if condition that is called as else if. So now, what exactly the syntax of this else if condition here? For that, we have to specify if, and you can specify the conditions whatever you want, and the statements, right? The statements which needs to be get executed. If this condition is not satisfied, if you want to cross check one more condition, then you can specify else if. Nothing but if the first condition is not satisfied, then check one more condition over here. Now we can specify a few more conditions over here. Now here you can able to write your own statements, whatever you want. If this condition is also not satisfied, verify one more condition. Like that, keep on, we can able to add some number of conditions over here. And then after writing those, all the conditions at the end, we can able to specify our one else part. If any of the condition is not satisfied, then finally it will be executing that else block. False block statements. So nothing but what happened. Here we are going to be including multiple conditions over here. Now, first of all, we are going to be verifying one condition. If this condition is satisfied, then it will be entering into this immediate block. Now, in this block, whatever the statements that you have written, those statements will be getting executed for you. If this condition is not satisfied, because for every condition, there might be one possible result, either condition may be satisfied, condition may be false. If the condition is satisfied, it will be entering into that immediate block. It will be executing those statements. Once the block has been executed, block of statements has been executed, it will be comes out from that if condition here. It won't verify the remaining conditions over here. At a time, only one block of statements will be getting executed for you inside that else if condition, not the multiple blocks of statements. Now, if the condition, first condition is a fail, it will come to the second condition here. Nothing but the second condition. Else if, nothing but one more conditional block is available. If this condition is satisfied, it will enter into this block. It will be executing this statement to you here. Once it has executed this block of statement, it will be coming out from the if condition again. It won't verify the remaining block of conditions. If this block of condition is also fail, it will come to the next conditional part here. Like that, it will be verifying each and every condition, and if any of the conditional block has been satisfied, then it will be executing that associated block of statements. If all the conditions are not satisfied, then finally it will be executing that else part. Nothing but the false block will be getting executed for you here. So now this is the process we are going to be using inside this else if condition here. Now let's see here. So as of now, we are adding only one condition, but now I would like to add the multiple conditions also over here. Okay, I would like to add the multiple conditions also over here. So now for that, inside this conditional, inside this program, I'm going to be including one more condition over here. I'm adding one more condition if first number equals to second number. I want to show that message system.debug. Both the numbers are equals. Both the numbers are equals. If both are not equals, then I would like to verify this, which one is the biggest one. So for that here, totally we are adding two conditional blocks over here. Now this is one condition. First of all, I'm verifying if both the numbers are equals or not. If both are equals, then I am going to be verifying, I'm going to displaying the message, both the numbers are equals. If the condition is fail, okay, if both are not equal, it will be coming to that else if part where it is verifying which one is the biggest one by using that condition, first number is greater than second number. If the first number is greater than second number, nothing but this condition is satisfied, it will be displaying the message first number is the biggest one, or else it will display that second number is the biggest one. So for that here, multiple block of statements we have used over here. So now this is one block of one condition we have used. This is another condition we have used by using that else if. Like that, you can able to keep on add some more else if parts also. If any of that condition is not satisfied, finally it will be executing that else block statements to you. Okay, now let's execute this one. Click on execute. Both the numbers I have specified as same, 234. Let's see the result. It is giving the message as both the numbers are equal. Nothing but we are getting that actual result. Sometimes the first number I'm making it as 2340. First number I'm making it as bigger than, nothing but here to the 2340, and the second number is 234. Now let's execute that. Now it will be producing the result to you. Now what we are expecting first number is the biggest one. It is giving that result as first number is the biggest one. For example, I'm making the second number as the biggest one. I have made the second number value as 12,234, and the first number as 2340. Nothing but the second number is the biggest one. Now in this case, it has to display the message second number is the biggest one. So click on execute button. Let's verify the results. Now it is displaying that message second number is the biggest one. Nothing but all the three cases we have verified, and each and every case is working fine properly here. So this is the way we are going to be writing the code by using the else if part. Now write one more program over here. Write an Apex program to print the season name based on the month number entered by the user as below. And month number, season name. This is my requirement here. If the month numbers are between 1 to 4, I want to display like as the winter season. If the month numbers are between 5 to 8, I want to display summer season. If the month numbers are between 9 to 12, I want to display spring season. So now this is my requirement here. So now I want to write a small Apex program by using that if conditional statements or whatever the statements that we have discussed. Now to print the season name based on the month number. Now further what needs to be done? Here I would like to display that season name. It may be winter, it may be summer, it may be spring, depends upon that month number here. So now month number is what? The numerical number here. If the user has entered that month number like as less than 1 or greater than 12, at that time I want to show that message invalid month number. I want to show the message invalid month number here. So now for that, we need an input from the user side, which is a numerical number value. So now based on that numerical number, we are going to be identifying in which range it will comes under. And based on that range, we are displaying that associated season name. If the input value entered by the user is false between 1 to 4, I would like to display the message as winter season. If the value is between 5 to 8, I want to show summer season. If the value is between 9 to 12, I want to show that spring season here. If the value is less than 1 or if the value is greater than 12, I want to show that message invalid month number. So now in this case, what happened? In each and every season name, you will be having some range of month numbers are there, 1 to 4. Nothing but the month number should be greater than 0 and then it should be less than or equals to 4. Nothing but we are having some lower boundary, we are having some upper boundary. Both we have to verify over here. Nothing but we are going to be applying the boundary value analysis over here. So now in this case, how can we verify this lower boundary? How can we verify this upper boundary? In order to verify this lower boundary, we have to use one condition. In order to verify the upper boundary, we have to use another condition. Two conditions we have to use, and both the conditions we have to club together by using that logical operators. Here both the condition has to be get satisfied. If you want to show that season name as winter, then at that time the month number should be greater than or equals to 1 and less than or equals to 4. Between that 1 to 4. So for that here, we have to use the two conditions and we have to mix these two conditions by using the logical operators. So now further we are going to be implementing this functionality here. Now, in order to receive that month number, I'm defining one numerical variable here, integer variable. Integer month number. integer month number. So now in this case, I'm going to be verifying this condition. If the month number value is between that specified ranges, I would like to show the associated season name. For example, I'm assigning that month number value as some 8. So now based on that month number, I would like to show some season name here. For that, I'm writing the conditions. If month number is greater than or equals to 1 and month number less than or equals to some 4. Observe this one here. I'm using the two conditions. Month number is greater than or equals to 1 and nothing but the logical operators I'm using right now over here. AND operator. Already we have discussed about that logical operators over there. Now, logical operators are used to club the multiple conditions together. Now here we are having two conditions are there. This is one condition and this is second condition. Both the condition has to be get satisfied. For that I'm using that AND operator in between these two conditions over here. If you want to cross check if any of the condition is satisfied, then I want to verify that I want to use that OR operator. Now, if both the conditions are satisfied, I want to show that message system.debug winter season. And then not only this condition, we are having one more set of condition is available. For that I'm using else if month number is greater than or equals to 5 and the month number less than or equals to 8, at that time I want to show the message system.debug summer season. And one more block of condition is also available to us here. Else if the month number is greater than or equals to 9 and the month number less than or equals to 12, I want to show the message system.debug this is a spring season. If these three conditions are not satisfied, else I want to show the message system.debug invalid month number. If the user has entered that month number as some 14 or 15 or greater than 12 or equal, if he has entered as a 0, it has to show the message invalid month number. So for that here we have written this a small program by adding the multiple condition depends upon our need. So now here we have written a small program in order to identify which one is the current season here. So further based on that month number, we are going to be identifying the season based on the range given by this particular requirement. Now let's execute this code. Now the month number I have assigned as 8. 8 will be comes under which is here, which region? Now this is the second block. So that how it has to display that message as summer season. Now let's execute that. Now verify whether it is printing that result as summer season or not. Execute the statement. Verify the result by selecting the debug only. It is displaying the message summer season. Nothing but the month 8 will be comes under the summer season. Now let's verify that. Month number I'm entering like as some 12. Now 12 will be comes under this particular spring season. Now it has to display that message as spring season. Now I have executed that code. It is loading the result. Select the debug only checkbox. It is displaying the message spring season. Now the result is correct. And the third case also I'm verifying here. I'm entering that value as 3. Now when you execute that statements, 3 will be comes under the first range so that it has to display that message as winter season. Now select the debug only checkbox. It is displaying that winter season. For example, I'm entering that month number as some 23. Okay, I'm entering that month number as 23. Now what we are expecting, this we don't have the month with the number 23. We are having the months till 12 only, 1 to 12. So now if the user has entered that month number out of range, it has to show that message invalid month number. Now when you click on execute, When you select the debug only statement, it will be displaying the message as invalid month and number. Nothing but all the conditions we have verified, and then we have cross-checked that statements, and based on that we are displaying those values as well. So now this is the way we are going to be writing the code by using that else if conditions over here. Now, the next conditional statement here, nested if. So now what do you mean by nesting? What do you mean by nesting? Nesting is nothing but including one if condition into another if condition. Because if the application requirement is very, very complex, at that time, we have to go in deeper. Okay, we have to go in deeper where we have to write one conditional statement into another conditional statement here. So at that time, it is called as nested if condition. Now, nested if condition is used to inserting one if condition into another if condition here. Now, by using this format, we can insert or we can include one if condition into another if condition. Based on the need. For example, so now here we are writing one if conditional statement. We are writing some conditions. So now for these conditions, I'm having some else part also. Here writing some statements over here. Inside this if condition, I would like to execute some statements. And along with that, I would like to write one more if condition over here. If conditions. Here I'm writing some statements over here. After that, you can able to write your else block also. Like that, we can able to nesting one if condition into another if conditions also. Here depends upon your need. So now whenever you are going to be including or inserting one if condition into another if condition, then it is called as nested if condition. So now depends upon the application requirement, depends upon the complexity of the application, we have to go with that, the nested if conditions. Now, this is the way we are going to be using that nested if conditions over here. Now, let's take a small requirement. Now I'm having a requirement over here. Write an Apex program to calculate the student result and grade as below. So now there is a requirement that I would like to calculate or I would like to find out the student result and grade as below here. So now what exactly the requirement over here? My requirement is here. We have 5 subjects where the student has given the exam for the 5 subjects like maths, physics, chemistry, Hindi, and English. So now these are the 5 subjects the student has given the examination here. So now once we have captured all these 5 subject marks, then I would like to show the total. So now before that, first of all, I would like to calculate the result here. Find out the student result. Nothing but whether the student got passed or failed. So now for that here I'm adding the condition requirement 202.1. Here, the student will be the pass, nothing but result will be pass when the student got more than 40 marks in each subject. If the student got more than 40 marks in each and every subject, then the result will be passed. And then the 2.2, nothing but the second alternative case. Result will be fail if the student got less than 40 marks in any of the subject. If the student got less than 40 marks in any of the subject, then he should be fail. Now, if the student is get fail, then I want to display the result. Display the student result. And then display the student total marks. Even though the student got failed or passed, we are able to display that total marks over here. How many guards he has scored in that examination. Now, come to the pass percentage here. If the student got passed, then I want to display that student result. And then I want to display the total marks. If the student got passed, now I want to calculate the grade. Calculate the grade as below. So now whenever you are calculating the grade, I'm having some requirement here. Now we are having that average marks and the grade. If the average marks are greater than or equals to 60%, then he will be in the grade A. If the average marks are between 50 to 59, 50% to 59%, at that time he will be in the grade B. If the average marks are between 40% to 49%, he will be in the grade C. Well, this is my requirement here. If the average marks are less than 40, nothing but if we got fail, then we are displaying that message, okay, the student got fail. So now this is my requirement here. Then how can we implement this functionality? Now what needs to be done? We have to define some variables like the maths, physics, chemistry, Hindi, and the English. These are the 5 subjects are there from which the student is getting some marks. And then along with that, we need to calculate the total and we need to calculate the average also. So for that, to store the result of this total marks and the average marks, we need the 2 more variables here. Totally 7 variables we need to define. All are of type the numerical type, nothing but integer type. So now let's see here. I'm defining these variables. Integer, maths, physics, chemistry, Hindi, English, and the total marks and the average marks. These are the variables that I have defined. All are 7 integer type of variables. I'm assigning some marks over here. For maths, I'm assigning some 89. For English, I'm assigning some 56. For physics, I'm assigning the values as some 78. Chemistry, I'm assigning the value as some 90. Hindi, I'm assigning the value as some 78. And the English, I'm assigning the value as some 97. So now I have assigned the values for each and every subject over here. For all the 5 subjects, I have assigned these values here. Now I would like to calculate the student result here. For that, I'm verifying the condition if the maths is greater than or equals to 40, and then in all the subjects he has to get that 40 marks, then only he will be passed. For that, I'm verifying that end operator. Physics is greater than or equals to 40, and the chemistry is greater than or equals to 40, and the English is greater than or equals to 40, and the Hindi is greater than or equals to 40. Nothing but I'm verifying whether the student is getting more than 40 marks in each and every subject or not. If the student got more than 40 marks in each and every subject, I'm displaying that message system.debug student got passed. Now else, if the student is getting any of that subject, he's getting more or less than 40 marks, I want to show that message system.debug student got failed. Okay, student got failed. So now here, this is a message that I'm printing over here. And along with that, we need to show that total marks also. Total marks we need to calculate in both the cases here. So for that, I'm calculating outside of that if condition. Total marks. I'm using the total marks, maths, physics, chemistry, Hindi, and English. Now I'm calculating the total marks for each and every subject over here. Now once the total marks has been identified, I want to show the total marks also. System.debug total marks are, I want to show the total marks also. The same statement I'm displaying in the failed case also. Even though the student maybe get failed, we have to display the total marks over here. What is the total score he has captured? Now, so now these are the 2 conditions that I have verified here. Nothing but 2.1 and the 2.2. Inside that 2.1, we are having one more requirement here. Not only displaying the result and not only displaying the total, we need to find out the grade also for the passed students, not for the failed student. For the failed student, there is no grade. Now the grade has to be get calculated only for the passed student here. Now, inside this first if condition, we need to write one more. Nothing but we are using that nested if condition over here. So now I'm calculating the grade. So for that here, I'm using average marks. Average marks equals to total marks by 5. I'm verifying that. Inside that if condition, I'm writing one more if condition. If average marks is greater than or equals to 60, then I want to show the message student grade A. Now, else if this condition is not satisfied, I'm verifying one more. If average marks is greater than or equals to 50 and average marks is less than or equals to 59, so at that time, I want to show the message student got grade B. Else, I want to verify. Here I'm verifying one more condition. If average marks is greater than or equals to 40 and average marks less than or equals to some 49, at that time I want to show that result as grade C. So now for that here we have written this code. Nothing but what happened, first of all we are calculating, we are finding out whether the student got passed or not. If the student got passed, then we are going to be finding out the result of a grade of that student here. So for that we are using that the second if condition. Nothing but inside this if condition we have written one more if condition over here. so that this is called as nested if conditions to you. Now, inside this if condition, we can able to write another if condition, also depends upon your need. If the application is very complex, then we can able to write one more if condition also over there. That flexibility will be available to you. Now, let's see. Then how can we execute this code? And we can able to see the result over here. Now we have entered the value for each and every subject which are greater than 40 so that the student should be get passed. Now let's execute that. Execute that code. The request has been sent to the server. It has loaded the response to you here. Select the debug only. Now it is giving the result. Student got passed. Total marks are 432 and the student grade is grade A. Now I want to verify with a negative case over here. Now for the physics, I'm making this marks as 18 marks. Nothing but the student is getting only 18 marks in the physics here. In the remaining subjects, he is getting more than 70 and the more than 80 marks over here. Now let's verify by executing this code. When you click on execute, it is going to be producing the result to you. Select the debug only checkbox. It is giving that result. Student got failed. Total marks are 372. Nothing but the student got failed because he got less than 40 marks in one of the subjects, so that he got failed. And for that, it is calculating only the total, but it is not calculating any grade. Because for the failed students, we don't have any grade over here. So for that, it will be displaying only those two results to you. Okay. So now this is the way we are going to be implementing that functionality by using that if conditional statements. These are the four formats are available. We are having that simple if condition, and then we are having that if else, and we are having that the else if condition, and we are having that nested if condition also. All these four conditions and the four statements with examples we have discussed as of now. So this is the information about the conditional statements to us. I think the people are feeling comfortable while writing the code. And even though you are from non-technical background also, so now then you can able to feel comfortable with the examples which we have discussed and with the information what we have discussed. Now.
Yes.
Now we will see the one more format, the one more type of statements, that is iterative statements. So what exactly the iterative statements? What is the use of iterative statements? We'll see. When coming to the Apex programming language, we don't have switch statement. Okay, please remember that we don't have any switch statement in Apex programming. Generally, in every programming language like C, C++, Java, and .NET, you will be having that switch statement, which is also part of conditional statement. But in our Apex programming, we don't have any switch statement. Even the interview point of view, if they ask, do we have the switch statement? Then say clearly, we don't have the switch statement concept in Apex programming. But in Salesforce, we are having that switch statement process that will be with the help of a function called as case function. During that formula fields, we have discussed about one function called as case function. In that case of function, we will be having that switching statement format will be there. But in Apex programming, we don't have that format here. We don't have any switches case. Because the switch statement is going to be having the more number of cases, which is going to be very, very costly in terms of the performance, in terms of the time consumptions. So for that, here Salesforce has avoided those concepts which are taking more time to process that functionality. Now, the next statement is iterative statement. So now what do you mean by iterative? Iterative means nothing but continuously, iteratively, repeatedly, we are going to be executing some set of statements. For example, assume that I would like to display the welcome message. So for that, here I'm writing one statement like system.debug. Inside that, I'm going to be displaying that message here, welcome. So now this statement system.debug statement is going to be printing that welcome message only one time in the debug log file. Suppose if you want to execute, if you want to display the welcome message 2 times here. I want to display this welcome message 2 times. Then what we can do? We have to write the same code 2 times here. We need to write system.debug statement. Suppose I want to display the welcome message 10 times. Then what we can do? We have to write that same statement 10 times here. If you want to display the welcome message 100 times, then what needs to be done? We have to write the 100 times the switch system.debug statement. Nothing but what happened? Functionality is very simple. Just we are displaying that welcome message, but the number of times will be keep on increasing here. So now for that, do I need to write so many number of lines of code? Do I need to write the 100 lines of code to print that welcome message 100 times? No. So in this kind of scenario here, instead of writing the same code again and again and again, instead of writing the duplicate code, instead of having the redundant code inside your Apex programming, always we have to maintain our code as generic. Always we have to maintain that code as generic, where we should not have the duplicate code inside our application multiple places. So now for that here, we are going to be using that iterative statement, where instead of writing the same statements again and again and again, just we can write the statement only once and keep on we are executing the statement multiple times, depends upon the number of times that you want. So for that here, they have introduced that feature called as iterative statement. This iterative statement is not a new concept. This is available since the basic programming languages itself. Since the legacy programming languages itself, we are having these iterative statements here. These iterative statements are also called as looping statements. These are also called as looping statements, where we can able to keep on execute the statements multiple times, depends upon the requirement here. Now let's see what exactly the iterative statement. Iterative statements are used to execute a set of statements iteratively up to the specified number of times. So if you want to execute 2 times, then you can execute. If you want to execute 4 times or 5 times or 100 times or 1000 times, depends upon your need, we can able to keep on execute these statements, depends upon the number of times over here. Now, in this kind of scenario here, whenever you are going to be executing the statements, only one statement can we execute? No, a block of statements, multiple statements, one or more number of statements we can able to keep on execute, depends upon the number of times that you want. So now for that here we are using these iterative statements. By using iterative statements, we can able to execute a block of statement, nothing but a set of statements continuously, nothing but iteratively up to the specified number of times. So now then how can we execute? What are the various iterative statements available in our Apex programming? Now Apex programming provides the below iterative statements. The first one is while statement. This is also called as a while loop. And the second one is the do while statement. And the third one is the for loop. And inside that for loop, we will be discussing one more concept called as enhanced for loop also here. Okay, we are discussing about enhanced for loop. So what exactly the use of this enhanced for loop? What is the functionality? Everything we'll see. Why? Because is when moving forward completely, we are using that enhanced for loop only. We are not using the normal for loops and the whiles and the do whiles. Okay, so now at that time when coming to the enhanced for loop, you will be getting the difference. What exactly the difference between the normal for loop and the enhanced for loop? Okay, we can able to see the difference and what is the use of that. Now let's see here the while iterative statement here. So now what exactly the while iterative statement? When coming to the while statement, While statement is also an iterative statement where it is giving the flexibility to keep on execute some set of statements up to the specified number of times. But whenever you are going to be executing the statement, first of all, it will be verifying the condition to you. Okay, first of all, it is verifying the condition to you. Now, write down that syntax here. The syntax is while the conditions, what are the conditions that you want, we can able to write the statement to you here. Not only one statement, we can able to write the multiple statements also. So now here, when coming to the while statement, before executing the statement, this is the block where we are having the statements are there. This is the block where we are having the statements are available. If you want to enter into this block, first of all, it has to cross check. So we have to come across this condition. If the condition is satisfied, then only it will be entering into the block so that we can able to execute these statements over here. So nothing but what we have identified when coming to the while loop is a pre-checking iterative statement. Nothing but before executing the statements, first of all, it is verifying the condition. If this condition has been satisfied, it will be executing the statements. Once the statements has been getting executed, it will be going to the while loop again. Now again, it will verify the condition. If the condition is satisfied, it will be entering into the block again. It will be executing the statements one more time. After that execution, again, it will be going back to that conditions again. Nothing but this process will be keep on iterating up to the specified condition is satisfied. Once the condition has been failed, it will be coming out from the block automatically here. This execution process is happening when coming to the while iterative statement. When coming to the while, before executing that statement, first of all, it is going to be verifying the condition so that it is called as pre-checking iterative statement. Now, make a note here. When coming to the while statement, it is a pre-checking iterative statement which will verify the condition before executing the statements. Before executing the statements. Once the statements has been executed, again, it will verify the condition. It will verify the condition and keep on executing the statements till the condition is satisfied. Once the condition is failed, it will comes out of the block. It will comes out of the block here. So now this is the format of while statement here. This is called as the while iterative statement or the while loop. Now, let's see some sample basic examples over here. Now, let's take a requirement. Now, let's take a requirement. Write an Apex program to print the welcome message 10 times, to print the welcome message 10 times. Then how can we print this one? Whenever you are printing that, then keep on, we have to cross check how many times you have printed as of now. Once you have printed 10 times, then we have to stop printing that statements again, because we cannot print 9 times, we cannot print 11 times. We have to print exactly the 10 times over here. So for that here, we have to keep on cross check whether we have printed 10 times or not. Whether we have printed 1 time or 2 times or 3 times or 10 times or what. How many times you have printed as of now. So for that here, we have to keep on count that here. So for that, in order to count that, we are going to be using a counter variable. Counter is nothing but 1. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. We are going to be counting that. How many times you have printed as of now. For that will be an integer value. So that I'm defining an integer value, integer counter. I'm going to be assigning that as 1. I have defined that counter value as 1 over here. Now I'm verifying this condition. While if the counter value less than or equals to 10, nothing but please execute this block of statements till the counter value is less than or equals to 10. Nothing but here, the counter value has been initialized as 1, nothing but 1 to 10, nothing but till this counter values keep on reaching to that particular 10, then please execute this set of statements here. What statement that you want to execute, I'm printing that here. Welcome to Apex Programming. Now, for example, here, initially the counter value is 1. Okay, initially the counter value is 1. Now the counter value is 1 here. This is the counter value, 1. So now it will be verifying the condition counter less than or equals to 10. Nothing but 1 less than or equals to 10. It is verifying that condition here. Because in the counter variable, we are having that value as 1. Now, in this case, it will verify the condition counter less than or equals to 10. Counter means what? 1. Now 1 less than or equals to 10. Condition is true or not? Condition is true. Nothing but 1 is less than 10. So that it will be satisfying the condition, so that it will be entering into the block. It will be executing this statement over here. Then after that, what needs to be done? One time we have printed over here, it is displaying that message, welcome to Apex Programming, whatever. One time we have printed. Now second time is going to this particular condition again here. At that time, what needs to be done? Second time we are printing. So nothing but the counter value we need to increment here. So for that here, I'm incrementing that counter value here. So for that, I'm using counter. How can we increment the value by 1 now? Anybody? How to increment the value by 1?
Counter equal to counter plus 1.
Customer plus plus.
Okay.
Counter plus plus, sorry.
Counter plus plus. Already we have discussed that. We have discussed about the assignment operators, as well as we have discussed about the incremental decremental operators here. In our case, we need to increment the value by 1. For that, here we are going to be using that plus plus operator here. As soon as when you use that plus plus operator, it is going to be incrementing that counter value by 1, so that now the counter value is 2. Now, once the counter value has been initially incremented by 1, it will be verifying the condition again. Now here it will verifying the condition 2 less than or equals to 10. Now the condition is satisfied. It will enter into the block. It will be executing one more time. After that, counter value will be incrementing by 1 more here. So now the counter value is 3 now in this case. Now it is verifying the condition whether 3 is less than 10 or equals to or not. So now the condition is satisfied. It will enter into the block. It will be executing the statement. Let it keep on. It is going to be executing the statement here. Whenever the counter value is equals to 9 less than or equals to 10, it will be printing that statement, incrementing the value by 1. That is nothing but the counter value is 10. Now it will verify the condition here. 10 is less than or equals to 10. Now the condition is satisfied. So that here, it will be printing that value 10th time. Once the statements have been executed, it will be incrementing the value by 1. Now the counter value is already 10. Now it is incrementing the value. Now in this case, the counter value is 11. It will verify the condition 11 less than or equals to 10. Now what will happen? The condition is equals to fail. Now 11 is less than greater than 10. It is not less than 10. So that the condition is fail, so that it will be comes out of the block automatically here. So now this is the way we are going to be writing that code in order to perform these operations. Now let's see here. We have initialized that counter variable by 1. And then we are going to be printing those values. And then we are going to be incrementing or decrementing the value by 1 over here. Now, before executing this statement, first of all, this condition has to be get satisfied. So for that, it is called as pre-checking iterative statement. While loop is a pre-checking iterative statement, which will be executing the statement based on the condition result here. If the condition is satisfied, it will be entering into the block. It will be executing the statement keep on till the condition has been satisfied. So now once this condition has been failed, it will be comes out of the block automatically for you over here. Now let's execute this code right now. Click on execute. Select the debug only. It is printing that welcome message 10 times to you. Welcome to Apex Programming. 10 times it has printed right now over here. So whatever the number that we have specified, whatever the maximum boundary that we have specified, till those many number of times it will be printing that statements to you here. Now, this is the way we are going to be writing that while iterative statement. Now the second one. Let's see one more example. Write an Apex program to print the first 100 numbers. I want to print the values from 1 to 100 here. Then how can we print those values here? So now here I'm going to be printing those first 100 numbers. For that I'm using that while iterative statement. I'm specifying the counter value. This counter value I'm going to be initializing by 1. I want to print the value from 1 to 100. So that I'm initializing from 1. Now I would like to keep on iterate this statement till 100 times. So that I'm specifying the condition counter less than or equals to 100. Every time whenever it is incrementing that value, I would like to print that value here. Number value is, I want to print that counter. Nothing but counter value is 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. We have to print the value 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 100. So that I'm printing that counter value itself. So every time I'm incrementing that counter value by 1. So that here once it is reaching to the 100, it will be printing that value. And once it is greater than 100, it will be stop executing the statement so that it will be printing the value from 1 to 100 to you. Now, let's execute this code and see the result over here. Select the debug only checkbox. Now it is printing the value, number values 1, 2, 3, 4, like that up to 100. It will be printing that value up to 100 to you here. Like that, the 100 values, it will be getting printed to you automatically. Now, write one more program over here. Write an Apex program to print the even numbers between 1 to 100. I want to print only the even numbers over here. I want to print only the even numbers. So now then how can we print the even numbers between 1 to 100? Like we are having the even numbers like as 2, 4, 6, 8. Like that I want to print the values up to 100. So for that what happened, the first even numbers will be starting from 2. So for that I'm initializing that integer counter equals to 2. Now I am going to be iterating that statement, the counter value till reaching to that 100. So that I'm verifying that condition till 100 here. And after that, we have to print that counter value. Even number is, I want to print that counter value. For example, the counter, nothing but the even number 2 has been printed. So what is the next number? 4. Then how can we get the next number over here? If you want to increment the value by 2, then automatically the 2 will be incremented by 2, that is nothing but 4. After that, we can increment by 2 again, nothing but 6. We can increment by 2, nothing but 8. Like that, keep on, we can increment the value by 2. Then how can we increment the value by 2 here? So for that, we are using assignment operators. If you want to increment the value by only 1, then we have to go for plus plus. If you want to decrement the value by 1, then we have to go for the minus minus. But if you want to increment the value by 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 100 or whatever, so at that time we have to use our assignment operators. Already we have discussed about that assignment operators also during that operators concept. Now where we can specify counter equals to counter plus 2. But instead of writing that, we can able to use counter plus equals to 2 so that we can able to reduce the number of lines of code and we can reduce the number of Apex programming character as well here, because we are having the limitation inside the suffix programming. Inside a single organization, we can able to write maximum of 30 lakhs character suffix code, not more than that. Now let's execute this code now. Keep on, every time I'm going to be incrementing the value by 2, so that we can able to print the value 2, 4, 6, 8, like that. We can print that values here. Nothing but 2, 4, 6, 8, like the till 100 we can able to print those values here. Okay, till 100 we can able to print those values, only the even numbers. So now this is a way we can able to use that while iterative statement. And the next one, the next iterative statement is do while. What exactly the do while statement? Now we'll see practically here. When coming to the do while statement, please verify the syntax first so that you can understand. Do, and we can able to write the statements whatever you want to execute. It may be one, it may be multiple statements also. Once the statement has been executed, then you can specify that while conditions. As the syntactical part, conditional statements, iterative statement, everything will be same like as your normal basic programming languages, like as the C programming syntaxes. Now, so now we are discussing about this do while statement right here. When coming to the do while statement, let's see what exactly the do while statement, what is the use of this do while statement, how to use this do while statements while writing the code. Now observe this one. When coming to the do while statement, first of all, it will be entering into the block. This is the flow. The application is going to executing. The statements it is keep on executing over here. And then when it comes to the do while, directly it will be entering into the do while here. Why? Because there is no pre-checking, nothing but there is no conditions are available here. So that directly it will be entering into the do while block. It will be executing the statements once. Once the statements has been executed, then finally it will be verifying this condition here. Nothing but before executing that condition, already statements has been printed one time. Already statements has been executed once. So now in this case here, when coming to the do while is called as a post-checking iterative statement. Okay, post-checking iterative statement. Nothing but it is not verifying the condition first. First of all, it is executing the statements only once, and then it will be verifying the conditions here. If this condition is satisfied, then it will be entering into the block again. And then it will be executing that statements. After executing the statement, then it will be verifying the condition again. Once the condition has been satisfied, keep on, it will be continuing this process till that condition is satisfied. Once the condition has been failed, it will be comes out of the block automatically to you here. This is the process of execution when coming to the do while statement. So that directly the statements will be executing at least once inside the do while, not the multiple times, at least once the statements will be executed here. Now for that, when coming to the do while is called as a post-checking iterative statement here. Now let's make a note of it here. It is a post-checking iterative statement which will execute the statements at least once and will verify the conditions. Once the condition is satisfied, it will keep on executing the statements, till the condition is satisfied. Once the condition gets failed, it will comes out of the block. It will comes out of the block here. So now this is the process of execution when coming to the do while iterative statement to you. Now, so whatever the functionalities that we are implementing by using that while loop, the same thing we can able to implement with the help of the do while also here. Now, let's see. Let's take a small program. So now write an Apex program to print the values between 100 to 200 in reverse order. I want to print that values 100 to 200 in reverse order here. Nothing but 100 to 200, whatever the values are there, I want to print those values into reverse order here. Nothing but 200, 199, 198, 197, like that till 100, I want to print that values here. Then how can we print these values in the reverse order? Now at that time, what needs to be done? We have to define that variable here. Integer counter value. From where you need to print the values from 200. So that we have to initialize that value variable with 200. Nothing but we are coming in the reverse order here. Now I'm using that do while. Do. I want to print that value here. System.debug. Number value is, I want to print that counter value. Now, once the counter value has been getting printed, then what needs to be done? We have to decrement the value by 1 because here we are coming in the reverse order. We are not in the incremental order, we are in the decreasing order here. So that we have to decrement that value by 1. Counter minus minus. Now, so now then till how long time do you want to print these values here? For that we are verifying the condition while if the counter value is greater than or equals to 100, till that time I am going to be printing these values here. Nothing but first time 200. It will be printing that value, it will verify the condition. 200 is greater than 100. So condition is satisfied. After that, it will be printing that here, decrementing that value. Now 199 is greater than 100. And then after that, one more time, it will be executing the statement. It will be decrementing the value 198, 195, 196, 4. Like that here, keep on it is decrementing that value here. At a certain point of time, it is reaching to the value to the 100 here. Counter value is equals to reaching to the 100. 100 less than greater than or equals to 100. Condition is satisfied because there is a equality operator is there. Now it will be satisfying the condition. It will be entering into the block. 100 value will be getting printed. After that, 100 value will be decremented by 1. Now the 100 value is decremented by 1, that is 99. 99 is greater than or equals to 100. Condition is false. So that it will be coming out from the block automatically. Like that here we can able to specify these conditional statements. Now let's execute this code right now. Click on execute. Go to the debug only statement. You will be able to display that values 200, 199, 198, 197, 196, like that. We can able to keep on decrementing the value till it is reaching to the 100. Till it is reaching to the 100, we can able to print those values as well. Okay, each and every value we can able to see. Now this is the way we are going to be writing that code by using the do while. Next one. Write one more program here. Write an Apex program to print the odd numbers between 1 to 200. Whatever the odd numbers are available between 1 to 200, I want to print those odd numbers here. Now I want to use the do while statement. Then how can we print these values? Now we will see practically here. So now for that, I'm using that values here. Odd number will be starting from where? 1. So for that, I'm using integer counter equals to initializing as 1. After that, I'm writing that statement do while. I'm printing that value system.debug. Odd number is, I'm printing that value, that is the counter. After that, every time we have to increment the value by what? 2, because 1, 3, 5, 7, like that till 200 we have to increase, we have to display that value. So for that, here I'm going to be using counter plus equals to 2 in order to print that the odd number values. Now till what number do we need to print? Till 200 here, so that I'm verifying that if the counter value is less than or equals to 200, then please click on incrementing this value and print those values to me over here. Like that, here we are going to printing those values with the help of this do while statement. Now the first time the counter value will be 1, it is printing that value as 1, and then counter value will be incrementing by 2, so that the value will be 3 right now. It is verifying the condition 3 less than or equals to 200, so the condition is true. It will be entering into the block, printing the odd number value 3. After that, this value will be incrementing by 2, nothing but the 5, so that keep on it is incrementing the value, it is displaying the value till 200. Now let's execute this code. Now see the results by selecting the debug only checkbox. Now it is printing the values 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, like that. You can able to keep on print the values till 199. Till 199, we can able to keep on print those values as well here. We can able to see each and every odd number value. So now this is a way we are going to be using the iterative statements. Now let's see one more iterative statement, that is for loop. What exactly the use of for loop? How to implement the code? Now we'll see practically over here. So now when coming to the for loop, what exactly the for loop? Now let's see. So now as of now, we have implemented so many programs here. In this program, what we did, we have defined a variable and then initialize the variable with some value. And then we are verifying the condition and we are incrementing or decrementing the value here. So now these are the 3 common steps we are following in each and every iterative statement as of now in every program. In each and every program which we have implemented by using the iterative statement, we are following these 3 steps as common. Defining the variable from where it has to be get started, and then verifying the condition till which number it has to be get iterated. And the third one, we are going to be keep on incrementing the value or decrementing the value here. So at that time, what happened? To define the variable and to initialize the variable, we have used one line of code. And then to increment or decrementing the value, we are using one more line of code. To verify the condition, we are using one more line of code here. Nothing but 3 lines of code we have written here. So now in this kind of scenario, instead of writing the 3 lines of code, we can able to reduce this number of lines of code by using the iterative statement. Nothing but iterative statement for loop is going to providing an optimized way of writing the iterative statements here. Nothing but instead of writing these 3 lines of code into the 3 different lines, we can club all these 3 statements into the single line itself here. So for that, it is providing an optimized way of using iterative statement. Now, if it is an iterative statement, then it is pre-checking or post-checking. Now, when coming to the for loop is a pre-checking iterative statement again. It's not the post-checking, it is a pre-checking iterative statement. Now, let's make a note of it here. It is a pre-checking iterative statement which verify the condition before executing the statements. Before executing that statements. Then what is the syntax of for loop here? We have to use for and then specify that initialization part. This is initialization part, and then we have to verify the conditions, conditional part, and the third one, we are having one more part that is called as increment or decremental part. Increment or decrement part. So now these are the parts are available here. Now these parts we can able to segregate by using a semicolon. By using a semicolon, we can able to segregate that. Now 3 parts we can able to write inside a single line itself. And then whatever the statement that you want to execute, you can able to specify those statements over here. Nothing but what happened when coming to the for loop. For loop is a pre-checking iterative statement which provides an optimized way of writing these iterative statements here. Now, it provides an optimized way of using iterative statements. Whenever you are writing that code, then please write the code in the optimized way. Nothing but reduce the number of lines of code so that at the time of compilation, it will take less time. At the time of execution, it will take less time, which will be increasing the performance of your application. So for that here, always we have to write the code in an optimized way. Now, then how can we write this code? Now we will see here. Now this is the flow of execution. Now what is the flow of execution? Now let's see here. When coming to the flow of execution, first of all, it will be initializing that variables with the predefined values, whatever we have specified. This is the first part. Once it is done, if the variables has been initialized, then it is going to verifying that condition. This is the second step. And once the conditions has been verified, it will be entering into the block. This is the third step. After that, whatever the statements are available, these statements will be executing right now here. This is the fourth step. Once the statements has been executed, and if there is no more statements to execute, it will be going to that incremental decremental part. This is the fifth step. Once the value has been incremented or decremented, then again it will be verifying the condition. This is the sixth step. Once the condition has been satisfied, it will enter into the block here. Like that, this process will be keep on iterating till the condition has been satisfied. Once the condition has been failed, it will be comes out of the block. This is nothing but the seventh step. This is the flow of execution when coming to the Apex programming language inside that for loop statement to you here. Now, so now let's see how can we write our own programs by using this for loop here. Now, let's write a small program. Write an Apex program. Write an Apex program to print the mathematical table for the given number. Suppose, for example, I am giving the value as 2. It has to print that second mathematical table. Nothing but 2 into 1 equals to 2, 2 into 2 equals to 4, like that till 10. If I'm giving the value as some 24, then for the 24, it has to prepare that table. If I'm giving the value as some 75, for the 75, it has to prepare that mathematical table. Then, how can we print that? Now we'll see practically here. For that, I'm using that variable integer in order to indicate for which number you would like to generate the mathematical table. Integer like I'm specifying that number, or simply you can specify table number. I'm giving the value as some 5. Now for the number 5, I would like to generate the mathematical table. Now for that, I'm using the for loop. Now from where to where? From 5 into 1 equals to the value until the 5 into 10 equals to the value here. Nothing but till 10. I would like to generate that. For that, here I'm initializing that variable here. Integer counter value equals to 1. Counter less than or equals to 10. Counter value I'm initializing by 1 every time here. Nothing but 5 into 1, 5 into 2, 5 into 3, 5 into 4, like that till 5 into 10. And then Every time what happened, I would like to perform that operation. I want to display the result over here. So for that, what needs to be done? How to print that value? Now let's see practically here. So now while printing that value, how can we print 5 into 1 equals to 5, and 5 into 2 equals to 10. This is the value. First of all, what needs to be get printed? This is the 5. 5 means what? The table number. So now I'm giving that table number. And after that, we need to print that star. For that here, this is what? A character. For that, we have to use that concatenation operator. I'm using that star is the concatenation operator. And after that, what needs to be done? We have to print that counter value. Counter. And then after that, we need to print that value as equality. And after that, we have to print that value here, nothing but 5 into 1. So for that, I'm using that the table number into the counter value. Table number into that counter value. That's it. Simple, done. So now here what happened? First of all, it is getting that table number value is 5 and the counter value equals to 1. Table number is what? 5, nothing but the 5. And the counter value 1, nothing but 5 into 1, and then equals 2. Now how you are getting this value? By multiplying this 2 here. 5 into 1. 5 means what? Table number, and then 1 means what? Counter value. Nothing but we are going to multiplying this 2 here. So that whatever the value we are getting, I'm printing that value over here. Now let's execute this code. I'm executing this part of code. Click on execute highlighted. Whatever the code that you have written, that code will be getting executed for you over here. Let's verify the debug only. It is printing that value to you here. 5 into 1 equals to 5, 5 into 2 equals to 10, like that. 5 into 10 equals to 50. So that we can able to display that mathematical table also over here. For example, if you want to generate the mathematical table for some 24. Now just to specify the table number as 24, and then let's execute this code. Click on execute highlighted. We can able to see the results over here. Select the debug only. It is generating that mathematical table for the 24 number. 24 into 1 equals 24, 48, 72, 96, like that till 240. It is generating that mathematical table also here. So now this is a way we can able to perform the operations with the help of the iterative statements. Clear? Now, in tomorrow's session, we are going to be discussing about some more features. Like we are discussing about a concept called as arrays concept. What exactly the arrays? What is the use of arrays? How to define an array? How to manipulate the elements inside the array? We'll see practically. And after that, we will go for the object-oriented programming concept. What exactly the object? What exactly the class? What exactly the fundamentals of object-oriented programming? So we'll see practically over there. Okay. So now these are some basic programming elements which we are going to be using as of now inside our programming languages here. Okay. Thank you.